Okay, so on your next clean sheet of paper, you need to have what our next lesson is, which is lesson 4-8. Now, as you can see, the last lesson that we did was 4-5. So obviously you might be asking yourself, where's lesson 4-6 and 4-7? We're not doing them. Okay? In your books, those are two lessons that contain information that you're not going to see in the future. Okay? It's teaching you how to divide using models and arrays, and those are things that you won't see in 6th grade, 7th, or 8th. So we're going to stick to what you need to know, and that is lesson 4-8. Okay? So please stop humming. I have some singers in here. So today's lesson is going to teach us how to divide with 2-digit divisors. Okay? That's different than what we have been doing up to this point. Up to this point, the problems that you've been looking at have had a 1-digit divisor on the outside. Now you've got a 2-digit. So the first important note that you need to know is this information right here, and everybody must write this into your notes. We'll talk about what it means after you get it written down. Shh. Okay, so at this point, you've, in my opinion, had enough time to copy down this little bit of information. So this is what I'm going to kind of call the key to success. Again, this is not written in any kind of math Bible. This is just in Miss Malone's history of teaching math to 5th grade students. When they grasp this concept, when they understand what this thing right here is saying, they are the most successful in doing this lesson. Okay? So what this thing says is that if you have two numbers outside the box, which we call that the divisor, then you will need to start with the first 2 numbers inside the box. Okay? So I'm going to jump away from this screen for just a second. I'm going to open up a new page, okay? Because I want us to kind of practice a little bit. What do I mean by this? Okay? In the past, this is the kind of problem that you were used to seeing. So let's just think about what we had been doing. What we had been doing is looking at problems like 568 divided by 9. Okay? This is what we were used to doing in all those lessons up till now. So for those of you who are still having a little bit of difficulty with this, and I do have some people who are, I just checked your test. I just checked the corrections that you are trying to make on your test. And some of you, the section where you had to just solve and divide, some of you missed like all of those. And then when you had the chance to kind of use your notes and make your corrections, you still missed them. So that tells me you don't know how to do this yet. And that worries me a little bit because now I'm getting ready to take what you should have learned with this and get it bigger. So let's walk through this one real quickly to make sure that everybody can kind of figure out how we're supposed to solve this thing. If you need to, you have your little Does McDonald's serve burgers daily thing at the top of your paper. So what's supposed to be done first in solving this problem? Yes. So the first thing I'm going to do is division. So I see that I have a 9 outside the box and a 5 inside the box. We were taught when we very first started division that if I have a single digit number outside the box, I start with the first number inside the box. But what's the problem here, Brody?
9 can't go into 5.
So what are we going to do to make 5 larger?
We go over 1, and so we 50 56.
Beautiful. How many 9s will fit into 56, Brody?
6.
6 of them will. He knows his multiplication facts. He's solid with them. He's quick with them. Where's my 6 going to go in the quotient zone?
6.
It's going to go over top of the 6. So that's the division. The next step is multiplication. Take me through the next step, Carson.
Multiply 6, 9, and 56.
What's 9 times 6? 54. Very good. Okay. And then I'm going to subtract, right, Carson? Because that's the next step that I have to do. What's 56 minus 54?
2.
Very good. 2. Perfect. Thanks, Carson. We'll move on to somebody else. Take me to the next step, Braden.
Bring down your 8.
Yep. So now what do I have?
28.
Good. Now, Braden, I'm going to take a little stop for a second because I had people in this room that even though I told you to use your arrows when you pull stuff down, I had people in here who said, I don't want to do that. Well, those people got things wrong because they pulled down the same number multiple times. And that's going to get you the wrong answer. So when I give you little like pieces of advice, one of those being use arrows when you pull down these numbers, I think it's probably going to be your best bet to use it, even if you don't think you need it. Okay, Braden, we're back to you. What's our next step? Okay, so we're going to come back here and we're going to start all over again because our problem's not done. So what are we going to divide, Braden?
28 by 9.
Which is how many 9s will fit into 28? 3 of them will. 3 times 9 is what, Braden? Finish it up. 27. When I subtract, what am I left with?
1.
And what does that thing become?
Remainder.
It becomes my remainder. Now look, some of you people, when you got to this section on your quiz, instead of me putting remainder 1, you just wrote a 1. Well, what does that look like?
6.
That looks like 631, doesn't it? 631 is very different than 63 remainder 1. So believe it or not, that little R is important. It lets me know that you know that's the remainder stuff, okay? That should not be new stuff to you. But we're going to take what we learned there, and we're going to move into what today's lesson is all about, which is a 2-digit divisor. So who wants to make up a problem for me? I don't care. Just give me a problem. Brady, give me the dividend first. So I want the number that's inside the box first.
That's a 2-digit?
No, inside the box. I want a 4-digit number.
5,637. Darn it, I was thinking you'd say 5.
Okay, 5,637 divided by, what's your 2-digit divisor going to be? 12. Well, that's easy. Come on, give it harder.
It's 84.
All right, 84. Okay. All right.
That's still easy.
Is his divisor a 2-digit number? Yes. So now all of a sudden, this is how things are looking different. Because in the past, I don't know why you're doing that. Please don't with all those markers. In the past, we only had a 1-digit number outside there. Now we got a 2-digit. And this is going to make things a little tougher because I know my multiplication facts for 4s and 9s and 5s and 7s. But I don't know my multiplication facts for 84s.
I do.
So, no. So, this is going to take us a little more time. This is what we officially call long division. So when you all have always asked, what's long division? It's this. And it kind of gets its name because it takes a long time to work. And the more time that it takes to work, guess what? The more chance of a mistake. So that little tip I just gave you, what does the tip say? Read it to me again, Addison.
Key to success. If you have 2 numbers outside the box, you will need to start with the first 2 numbers inside the box.
All right, here we go. So I have 2 digits outside the box, and inside the box I have to start with my first 2 digits. So will 84 fit into 56? Lily, will 84 fit into 56? But you didn't say that confident. You said that like you weren't sure. You're right. No, it will not. But my question to you is why? Come on, trust your gut. Why will 84 gumballs not fit into a container that only holds 56? Allie,
Because if it can only fit 56, then there's no way it can fit 84 inside of it because it's too little of a number.
what is?
56 is
Yes.
too little.
So here's what we've learned is that whenever my divisor is larger than the first thing that I'm looking at inside, how am I going to fix this problem? How can I start then? Max.
You have to do 84 divided by 563.
Yeah, I'm going to have to add that 3 to it.
That's a big number.
So now I got to figure out how many 84s will fit into 563. This I can do because you got to stop being so loud. Because the 84 on the outside is now smaller than 563. I can fit this in there. My question is, how many times? Well, because we don't know our multiplication facts for 84s, we have to kind of do a guess and check. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to come over here to the side and I'm going to just random pick a number to see how many 84s do I think would maybe fit into 56. Does anybody know where a good place to start would be?
5.
You think 5? Anybody think a different place?
7.
Where'd you get 7?
Because I know, like, if you do it by 5, I think that,
Can I give you an easier way?
yeah.
I agree with you, 7. And here's why. 8 can fit into 56 about how many times?
7.
7. That's a good starting spot. Okay? That's where I would start. Now, you could start at 5. I don't care. But if you start at a number that's going to be closest to what you think you may need, you're not going to have to do as much work. And isn't the end result not to have to do more work than we need to? Yeah. So, if 8 will go into 56 about 7 times, then 84 may go into 563 about 7 times. So what am I going to do to figure this out? What do I got to do? Addison.
You're gonna have to first set up your problem.
Yes.
You need to do your 84, and then sort of a little under you need your multiplication sign, then you need step 7.
Yeah. I got to see what 84 times 7 is. I don't know right now. So over off to the side, this is where my workstation is. This is where I'm going to do all my work. Okay? So let's do it, Addison. What's 7 times 4?
28.
So do you see how knowing your multiplication facts is so important? Yeah. 7 times 8 is?
56.
Plus 2 more?
58.
58. All right. Look, we got 588, but we're looking to get 563. Can we use 7?
No.
Why not? Same reason why we couldn't use 84 into 656. Why not?
Because it won't fit. 588 won't fit inside 563.
It's too big,
It's too big.
right? Are we allowed to go over?
No.
No. If you're estimating, you can go over. If you're doing compatible numbers, you can go over. But when you're actually solving, which is what we're doing here, you can't. We've got to get as close as we can to 563 without going over. So obviously, is 7 going to work? No. So where should we go next? Mason I, where should we go next? Well, we are going to multiply. We're trying to see how many 84s is going to fit. We just figured out that 7 of them is too much. So what do you suggest we do? Yeah, I think you're right. Let's try 6, okay? So over here, I'm going to do 84 times 6. So Mason I, you get to do this. 6 times 4 is? 24. We're going to drop our 4. We're going to carry our 2. 6 times 8 is? Allie?
6 times 8 is 48.
48 plus our extra 2 Mason gives us? She said 6 times 8 is 48. I got to add my extra 2. 50. So look what 84 times 6 gives us. 504. You think that's the one we should use?
Yes.
Yes. So we're gonna now put that number, let me get rid of all my color marks. We're gonna put that number on top of our roof. Now where are we gonna put it on the roof? Max,
Above the 3.
we are. Because the 3 was the last digit that we used, so we're gonna start forming our answer above that digit. So we just said 84 will fit in about 6 times, so we're gonna put that 6 up there on that roof. Now, notice how I didn't erase my work. What would have happened if I would have erased it? As soon as I got that answer, what happens if I just kind of went, okay, I got it. I'm gonna clean up my paper and do this. Why is that a problem? Yeah. You might forget what 84 times 6 is, because isn't the next step to multiply?
I already did.
So now guess what we gotta do again?
Multiply again.
Now we gotta multiply again. We gotta multiply the same problem that we already multiplied, which means we're doing double the work, which is not very smart to do. We're gonna keep it simple. So that 504 is gonna come down here directly underneath my 563. And in my steps of does McDonald's serve burgers daily, the next step is to subtract. I've got to make sure I don't subtract wrong. There were 12, count it, 12 students so far whose tests I've graded, who had in one of their problems, they had a baby math problem. It was 17 minus 9. They said the answer was 6. Now let's think about this. Shh. We don't laugh about it because we're all like ready for errors. 12 people did this. Anybody see what their brain was thinking?
Yes.
I know what their brain was thinking. What were they thinking? They were adding. Because what's 17 plus 9? Or what's 7 plus 9? 16. So because our brain sees addition facts easier than it sees subtraction facts, and plus you wanted it to be easier. In a problem like this one, you gotta, if you don't know right off the bat, you gotta borrow. And then you would have recognized it wasn't a 6, it was 8. But it threw off the whole answer for many people because they made a silly subtraction error. So when we get to like big problems, like the one that we're looking at right now, 563 minus 504, we gotta be careful we don't subtract wrong, okay? Sophia, subtract this, go.
Back to my head.
No, you gotta tell me what to do because people at home are learning from you and me.
Okay. So first you're going to make 13.
Talk louder,
First what you're going to make 13.
okay?
Because 4 is going to 2. And then 4 goes into 13. Or first you have to 6, 5.
Okay,
And then the 4 goes into 13 9 times.
careful how you're using your language. We're not doing division now. It's not 4 goes into 13.
4 subtract or not 4
Minus,
minus 13 equals 9.
okay?
Then you go over to 0, or 0 minus 5, which is 5. And then you go to 5 minus 5, which is 0.
Do I need to put that 0?
No.
If you want to, you can. Miss Malone does not like to put that there. It gets in my way. But if you like it, you can put it, but I'm not going to, okay? So we subtracted, and we got 59. Olivia, I don't know if you can see. If you need to come over here, honey, come on over, okay? What do we do next? Hallie, what do I do next? Thank you. Now I'm gonna bring down my 7. So now I've got another big whopper number, 597. Okay, so now I've got to start all over again. I got to figure out how many 84s will fit into 597. Well, thankfully, I didn't erase any of my old work because now I can use my old work to see what I need. We tried 7 of them a little bit ago and we got 588. Do you think we're gonna get any closer to that?
No.
Me either. So Hallie, what are we gonna put on the roof? 7. Hallie, what's 7 times 84? 588. She didn't have to work that out because she had done it earlier in the problem and she didn't erase it. When we subtract here, friends, this is just like what we are used to doing. 17 minus 8, everybody is? 9. 8 minus 8 is?
0.
5 minus 5 is?
0.
Do we really need those zeros?
No.
What does this 9 become? It's our remainder. Don't just stick it on the roof without the R though. You have to have the R next to it. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you all is when you start playing in big numbers, don't be afraid to have a big number that's a remainder. You can have a remainder that's a big number, but it just can't be bigger than what?
84.
It can't be bigger than our divisor. So if our remainder was an 85, what does that mean? Brody, you got it wrong. And you might as well erase all of your work and start over.
Or check your work.
Doesn't even matter checking your work. If you get an answer that has a remainder bigger than your divisor, you're wrong, start over. Okay? So you gotta always make sure you choose the number to put on the roof that's the closest number that can be. Okay? Now I just walked through that with you. I wanna see if you can do one on your own. Okay? So I'm gonna jump back to the page that we were originally on. The next note that you see, you do not need to copy because it was what we already discovered. It basically just tells us is that if the 2 numbers outside the box aren't big enough, then you're going to need to use the first 3. We just discovered that, so you don't need to try it. But I want you to try the purple example. I'm not going to show you the next one, just do the purple. So this problem here is 8,925 divided by 75. Now the little green hint tells you in this example, 75 will fit into 89. So do you need to add that 3rd digit? No. All right, do your thing. And if you're somebody, because everybody is a different learner, some people will finish faster than other people. If you happen to finish a little bit quicker and you're waiting for other people to finish, check your answer. You've been taught how to check your answer. Take the quotient that you got and multiply it by the divisor. And then whatever that answer is, you just add your little leftover remainders to that number. And you should get your dividend if you're correct. Okay. Let's see how you did. It's okay, you keep working, but we're gonna go ahead and walk through it because our time is ticking away.
No.
75, for those of you who maybe have reached the finish line, 75 can fit into 89, so I don't need to make this thing any bigger. How many 75s will fit into 89? Brayden?
One.
Only one of them will. So I'm gonna stick that 1 above my 9 on my roof. So for those of you who are still working, did you do that digit the same as me?
Yeah.
If you didn't, you've got to figure out why. Did you use the 2 and make it 892? If you did, you should not have done that because the first 2 numbers on the outside, 7 and 5, they're smaller than the first 2 numbers inside. So we don't need to make that 2 go with it. Okay? So now that I put that number on the roof, 75 times 1, everybody is?
75.
That's a simple one. Okay? It's time to subtract. 89 minus 75. Brayden, what's 9 minus 5? 4. 8 minus 7? 1. What's my next step, Brayden?
Bring down the 2.
Bring down the 2. Okay? So now I'm looking at 142. And it's time to start over. Allie, how many 75s will fit into 142?
I got 2 times.
She thinks 2 of them. So I'm going to come over here to my workspace and I'm going to do 75 times 2. And when I do that, I get 150. Yikes, that's a problem. Because I can't go over the number I have, and the number I have is 142. So will 2 work, everybody?
No.
No. So if 2's too big, then what do we have to use? 1. 1 goes on the roof. 1 times 75, everybody is? 75. So let's stick that 75 right here. Now make sure you line things up correctly. This is why we learned at the start of our school year how to add and subtract whole numbers. If we never were taught that, we wouldn't know what to do in this problem. So we got to subtract carefully and not make those baby math mistakes because we want to do so much stuff in our heads. This is not head math. This is paper math. Next year, it will be calculator math, but not this year. It's paper math. Okay? We can't do 2 minus 5, so we're going to borrow, turn 4 into a 3, and 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 5, everybody, is what? 7. 3 minus 7, can we do that? No. We have to borrow again. So now I have a 13. 13 minus 7 is 6. Am I finished? No. I still got to yank down this 5 that's still hanging out up top. 675 now. Dude, that's a big number. How many 75s will fit into 675? Shane, how many did you get?
9.
He thinks 9. Well, I better check him and see. So in my workstation, I'm going to do 75 times 9. And when I do that, I come up with 665. Right? No. 675. Sorry. 675. So how many will fit in? 9. And because I didn't erase my work, I know 9 times 75 is 675. When I subtract, does this number have a remainder? No. So 119 is your answer. You got it. Okay, now look, I'm going to tell you, listen, and I have to be done because it's my time to leave. For those of you who got it, great job. Thank you for paying the utmost attention. I'm just going to tell you, these things distract you, okay? These things take away from what it is that we're doing. This, not necessary. Taking notes and being engaged in what we're doing is. So when you say you didn't finish, that's why. Your focus was not in the right location. So tonight, your homework is not going to be easy. You have to complete 2 workbook pages that are filled with these kind of problems. This stuff is called long division. It doesn't get its name because you can get it done in 5 minutes. It's gonna take you a long time to complete. You're not gonna be upset, you're not gonna whine, you're not gonna cry, you're not gonna complain. This stuff is harder than what you're used to. But if you can't do this, you won't be able to do fractions. And that's what's next. So you gotta go home tonight and practice, work on pages 63 and 64, and you're gonna complete all the problems. Okay? So don't be surprised if this takes you a little more time than you expected. It might. Do you have to check your work?
Yes.
If you want, I think you should always check your work. Do you have to show me that you checked your work? No. Do all of the long work and then pick up a calculator. And on your calculator, type in 119 times 75. And if you get this guy right here, 8,925, you got it right. You can use a calculator for checking. Don't use a calculator to do the work. If you bring a paper back to me tomorrow that only has 119 at the top and I don't see any of this, I'll know you cheated. And I don't want a story that you left your work page at home. No, you cheated. Okay? So I hope you paid attention. I hope you focused. I hope you took notes. That's the only way you get better at doing this stuff. Okay? All right. I do have a few people who I think have some questions, so we will